Well, welcome to Modern Steel Construction's Field Notes podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Weisenberger. This month's guest is Hannah Blum, an assistant professor and the Alan H. Payro Fellow in Structural Engineering at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Welcome, Hannah. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So when did you first become interested in buildings, and are there any buildings you saw when you were younger that kind of inspired you to get into engineering?
I decided to become an engineer because I was interested in science and applying science to produce creative solutions. Also, engineering is known as a typically stable career. I originally wanted to be an environmental engineer because I think that's very important. But I found that I don't like chemistry and prefer the mechanics area of physics. So I switched my major to civil engineering.
Ah, okay. So you did think about environmental engineering for a little bit, but yeah, I think I remember in high school, I was good at all the sciences and chemistry was just not my thing though. Let's get a little bit more specific. How did you get involved in stability research specifically?
Right. So after I switched my major to civil engineering, I decided it would be a good use of the opportunities available to me to get involved in undergrad research. The first team I joined wasn't a good fit, so I tried again and based on a suggestion from my classmate, joined another research group. This was a great group and I was lucky to have the opportunity to participate in 3 research projects during my undergraduate years. The first was laboratory-based and included experiments on sheathed cold-formed steel frame walls with a PhD student. The second project was fieldwork-based and was field measurements of a historic wooden covered bridge with a research associate. The third project was computational-based and I studied bracing requirements in cold-formed steel frame walls. This project was my first exposure to stability research and I really enjoyed it.
Just out of curiosity, where was this? Where did you go to school for undergrad?
Johns Hopkins.
Oh, okay. So right there in Baltimore.
Yes.
So what's been your role in the SSRC thus far?
I had previously served as the vice chair of the Thin-Walled Structures Task Group for a few years, and I have recently changed to the vice chair of the Stability of Steel Systems Task Group.
Okay. Very, very good. Now, getting back to your education, I understand you got your PhD in Sydney, Australia. So I'm just curious, what made you decide to go abroad for that degree? And can you maybe tell me a little bit about the experience of living in Australia, as well as, if there were any different construction practices or theories that you learned there that might be beneficial here?
Well, I had the opportunity to study abroad in Sydney during my master's, and after that, I decided I wanted to do my PhD studies there.
Okay.
I had a great time living in Australia. Friendly and laid back people and culture, beautiful landscapes, unique plants and animals. And in Sydney, it was truly a melting pot of people from all different backgrounds.
Was there any type of food there that you found that you like, something local that you found that you loved, fell in love with, and you can't really find other places, or something they did particularly well there in Australia?
Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed the beetroot, which I believe is pickled beets, that they would put on burgers, sandwiches, and salads. It just adds a pop of flavor, and it's amazing. I haven't had great success finding it here. I did find someone who pickles beets at the Madison Farmers Market,
Okay.
and sometimes I am able to get a can of those.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, like a little taste of Australia in Madison, so to speak. Okay, I have to ask about Vegemite too. Did you eat Vegemite when you were there?
I did try it.
What did you think? I've never had it. I've heard it's a very polarizing. Like,
I did not enjoy it. It tasted like salt paste to me.
oh, okay, that's not a ringing endorsement. Okay. You talked about traveling around the country. I think one of the most well-known geographical features of Australia is, and hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, Uluru. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So did you get to visit?
I did get a chance to go. I found it was stunningly beautiful. The way the light reflects off the rock at sunrise and sunset, causing the whole area to glow this copper color, is gorgeous. And even though we're in the middle of the desert, there's actually a lot of life there. You can hear a lot of small animals and insects around, and it has its own unique type of plants.
So getting back to research, what research are you currently involved in?
I currently have a mix of research topics, including steel joists, stainless steel angle compression members, advanced high-strength cold-formed steel, mixed reality and structural steel fabrication, machine learning and structural engineering, and the use of virtual reality in structural engineering education.
Yeah, I definitely want to touch on the virtual reality topic in just a minute, but just getting back to stability again, what are some current, I guess, what we would call hot topics, or what's all the rage, so to speak, right now in stability research?
Well, I suppose the current hot topic would be the stability of members and systems under elevated temperatures.
Obviously, everybody had to transition to online, whether it's school, teaching, their jobs, what have you. I'm just curious to know, obviously you had to transition to online. Can you talk a little bit about that? Were there any interesting challenges that you weren't anticipating?
Right, so the first transition was a little bit difficult, not having maybe the right equipment that you would need and doing a different format you can't write on the board. I was able to get the equipment I needed, webcam, and I used my touchscreen tablet to write on it like I would on the board. I ran into a few challenges, and that my cat thought the stylus was a toy and would occasionally use the touchscreen. And there were a few instances where she did close out the notes program that I was broadcasting to the students.
Oh no.
I have two cats, and they also sometimes, when I'd ask a question to the students, they would answer.
That's pretty great. I like that. So, how long have you been at the University of Wisconsin? And then maybe tell me a little bit about what you like most about Madison.
I've been at UW-Madison for 3 years. In Madison, there are some beautiful local and state parks in the area. I also really like the dedicated bike paths. It makes it easy and safe to get around or to cycle for fun.
Okay, that's great to hear. I've been to Madison a few times. I guess on the cycling note, it's also a pretty flat city for the most part, which definitely lends itself to bicycling around an urban environment. So, can you talk a little bit about your experience as the faculty advisor for the Wisconsin Steel Bridge team?
The bridge team's exceptional. They're responsible, organized, creative, and hardworking students who consistently perform well enough at regionals to qualify for the national competition. I was really looking forward to regionals being hosted at UW-Madison for the 2020 competition, but for obvious reasons, that did not happen.
So that's, speaking of being a faculty advisor, what made you decide to get into teaching? And also, can you tell me a little bit about what classes you're currently teaching?
I enjoy teaching and the challenge to convey complex concepts to a range of students. This year, I will be teaching Steel Structures 1 and 2. I have also previously taught structural reliability.
And as far as teaching and getting back to what you were mentioning earlier about virtual reality, I understand that you've done some innovative work in the classroom when it comes to artificial intelligence and virtual reality. Can you talk a little bit about that and how it's gotten students more engaged?
My team has made several virtual reality and mixed reality teaching aids. We've developed a virtual reality building plan matching game to help students understand how to read building plans through an interactive game. We also partnered with AISC to create a virtual reality tour of a steel building to allow students to go on a virtual field trip at their convenience. My team also developed a mixed reality steel connection teaching module to help students identify failure paths in steel bolted connections. I received 2 educational innovation grants from my university to develop these teaching aids and to purchase equipment to furnish a mobile virtual reality and mixed reality teaching lab. I was hoping to start using these teaching modules in my class at the end of the spring 2020 semester, but that didn't happen due to factors out of my control. I now plan to have these in class for this coming semester. We'll see.
Right, we'll see is the key point right now. So, can I ask you what general or maybe specific advice do you have for engineering students or engineers that are just starting out?
I'd say it's okay not to have your career path fully planned out. I recommend trying out new opportunities as they become available, and don't feel bad moving on if it's not the right fit at the right time.
Very good advice. Well, and and on the other side of the coin, can you tell me, do you received any like memorable advice over the years, either professionally or otherwise? Or maybe the better way to ask it is what's some of the best advice? Because I'm sure you've gotten advice we all have.
Well, my high school band teacher would tell us often, life is tough, but it's tougher if you're stupid. There are some things in life out of our control, but for those things which we have some control over, it's best to make good decisions.
You were in band. What did you play?
French horn.
You're kidding. That's what I played as well.
It's the best of the brass instruments.
I've always thought so. That's really great. I was just going to say I played in high school in the concert band and marching band, but I played the trumpet in jazz band. I don't know if you ever tried the trumpet. I always thought it was a lot easier than the French horn.
Agree, because your lip positions are further apart to hit the different notes, where French horn, they can be very close together.
Yeah, right. And I have to ask, do you still play or have you played recently?
No, there's only so much time in a day, and my priority turned to sports in my free time.
Okay.
I do miss it, but you can't do everything.
Of course. Yeah, no, like you said, there's not enough time in the day. Just out of curiosity, what sports?
Soccer? We do have a department soccer team called Barely Civil.
Okay, now that one I got right away. That's very good. So who do you play? So when you get Barely Civil together, what you just find other like groups of professors, or who do you get to play against?
We joined a community league. It's for adults 18 and over.
Okay.
Often we end up with teams who are quite younger than us. We
Mhm.
have faculty, staff, spouses who range from probably 30s up to in their 50s. And we play with community leagues some of the teams are just those in their early 20s and they run circles around us.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine.